The son of a ditch digger, J.T. Carroll, Cameronton, Missouri native, will start inside road number 4 with Colton Borland, his right-hand side from Appleton City, Missouri. Gary Clark from Walker, Missouri, who sat on the pole of the Big Buck 50 this last year. He will start in 9th, and Mr. Donnie Miller on his outside. A 4-time winner last year, Tim Brown out of Stoutland, Missouri. I take that back, he won 6 times last year. Will start inside road number 6. Blaine Ewing on his outside, and we're going to get after it through the Lucas Oil start zone. Jared Hayes leads us to green in our 20-lap main event. Jared Hayes leads lap number 1, and he is going to be a hard man to pass as he is up front. Again, we are in the early going, so the track will change after it was worked during the intermission break. Tony England leads the bottom line. Kenny Carroll to the top side. Advantage goes to Tony England, completing lap 2. Stacked up side by side for 4th, Derek Brown has Taylor Carver in the red number 40, looking to work around to the top side. Derek Brown able to fend him off, at least for the time being, and J.T. Carroll in the 94 will be right behind Derek Brown and right beside Taylor Carver. Jared Hayes ran in a Southeast Traveling Series for the longest time, over 150 career victories. He had the fast time in last year's qualifying for the Big Buck. Former champion at Northfork back in '01. Champ at Crowley's last year. And Jared Hayes, 2.5 second advantage over Tony England. And it's another couple seconds back to Kenny Carroll, and now J.T. Carroll's worked up to 4th and Derek Brown in 5th. Derek Wiss, the Whiz Kid in the 8D. Those are the 3 cars you see in your picture with J.T., Derek Brown, and Derek Wiss. Well, Jared Hayes has caught up with a great equalizer, lap traffic. We'll see how well he can navigate it. The good news is there's a pretty good cushion between he and Tony England right now of 3 seconds. He keeps them slow through turns 3 and 4 through the Lucas Oil restart zone. He and Tony England get a good head start over everybody else as they stay on the bottom side of the track. Derek Wiss next in line on that low groove, and Kenny Carroll, who started outside road number 2, he's trying to make the high line work with Taylor Carver right behind him. A spin at the end of that entire line, and that is the 15 of Michael Matthews from Brookland, Arkansas. And the Midwest Sheet Metal caution out after getting 1 more lap in the books. So Jared Hayes will have another go of it. 11 laps down, 9 laps to go. Tony Anglin and Kenny Carroll. Kenny still able to hang on to that top 3 spot. JT right behind him as the green flag back in the air as they pass through the Lucas Oil restart zone. And Kenny Carroll is going to continue to pound that high groove and try to pound it into submission on that opening start. This time a much better run for Kenny Carroll. JT had a little bit of a bumper rub. From Taylor Carver, you see some damage on the back of the 94C. But for the most part, he is okay. And the Midwest Sheet Metal caution comes out. And Tony Anglin had a great run on that restart. He had been able to stay right with Jared Hayes and the Hobby Time Motorsport safety crew. We see them going over into turn number 2, and it looks like there's a little piece of debris up there right smack dab in the middle of the track. That is a cut tire waiting to happen. Still anybody's race. It has been Jared Hayes so far that has been the class of the field, but Tony Anglin on that last restart able to hold his own. And Kenny Carroll's been right there also, working the top shelf. They see the flags of the Lucas Oil restart zone. How about the move by Taylor Carver? The 40 coming to life around Kenny Carroll. And now to the outside of Tony Anglin. Was Taylor Carver playing a little cat and mouse? After he started outside row number 2, dropped back to 7th, and now the 40 looks as though he's got the hot rod on the field. Up to the outside of Jared Hayes. And a spin on the front stretch, the very tail end of the front stretch, as it's the 16 of Logan Thompson. See some front end damage, maybe old, but some damage on the rear end as well. And the getting basted number 16 looks like he is basted. Basted and wasted. With only 6 laps left in our 20-lap main, 14 have been completed. And where we weren't really talking about Taylor Carver much in the middle of the race, now all of a sudden he becomes a focal point as Jared Hayes has led all 14 laps so far, but Taylor Carver is the man that's on the move. He had fallen back to 7th. Now he's up to 2nd. Lights are out. Green flag in hand. Chris Loberg looks him over through the Pitts Realty start zone. Jared Hayes gets him back underway. Tim Brown in the 111. He's now up into the top 3. And Taylor Carver, what a run he was having. He gets up in the loose stuff, into the marbles, and he's going to take his car out of the picture and out of the running. What a tough break for Taylor Carver, a winner here 2 years ago. JT Carroll in the 94 and Kenny Carroll in the 94. Both involved in that as well, so both Carrolls get caught up in Taylor Carver's mess. So Taylor Carver goes to the top side. And again, I don't really think there has to be much of an issue. Taylor Carver, you saw the signal. He thinks his left rear is flat, but his left rear looks completely inflated, looks just fine. I don't think anybody got into him, at least that I could tell from up here. So maybe he thought he had a flat, and that's why he spun out to the top side, but his tire looks completely inflated. but it's a deflated Taylor Carver. Thought if anybody had anything for Jared Hayes, it would be the 40. But it will not happen tonight. With only 6 laps left, he goes back to the tail end of the line. And the Carrolls are able to get their spot back. That was a spin to avoid. They didn't really get caught up in anything. They were just trying to keep out of the 40, not get involved in his mess, and they were able to do that. So Jared Hayes, Kenny Carroll, Tony England, and now Tim Brown has gotten up into the top 5. Tim Brown started in 11th, by the way, and he's now up into 4th. Through the Pitts Realty restart zone, Tony England, Kenny Carroll, and Tim Brown running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, all trying to hunt down Jared Hayes. And Jared Hayes has to feel like a sitting duck right now. He's in the catbird seat, that's for sure, but with only 5 laps left, Taylor Carver had found something, and now another Midwest Sheet Metal caution comes out. I think that's for the 21 of Darren. Well, yeah, there's a couple of cars over in turn 4 that got involved in that. Darren Porter was one, Brian Brown was the other. So Brian Brown in the 69 thought he was going to get his spot back, and race control has him as part of that incident. So instead of going to the back, he's going to go to the pits. Well, we're closing in on the checkers. Now with 5 laps to go, Jared Hayes, I think he knows from looking up at that big, beautiful Jumbotron we have now that he's got plenty of company behind him. And he's got 60% more Jumbotron to be able to see that. Might have been the restart that Jared Hayes needed. Tony England and Kenny Carroll are still duking it out for 2nd and 3rd. And where Jared Hayes was the hunted, the pressure is at least off for now, but maybe not for long. With 2 laps left, does Kenny Carroll have anything for Jared Hayes? The ditch digger is digging on the top side at the line just by a nose, 7/1000ths of a second. Jared Hayes had the lead over Kenny Carroll on the closing laps. They'll get the 1 to go this time by. Kenny Carroll has found something on the cushion. 3/8 of a mile left, and Kenny Carroll gets out to the lead. Kenny Carroll at Lucas Oil Speedway. He was a mainstay whenever the Super Stocks ran here years ago. He was a champion here in 09 in a factory stock. Won the championship in 15, and he'll start 2025 with the double checkers. Kenny Carroll wins. $2,000 goes in his pocket, and he will start out the season with a victory at the Diamond of Dirt Tracks. The ditch digger, Kenny Carroll, running top 5 all night long, trying to stay with that top line. He found the traction when he needed it. On the white flag lap, he grabs the lead over Jared Hayes and is able to hang on by 0.6 of a second. You only have to lead the last lap. Well, Jared Hayes led almost every single one of them right up until the very end, and Kenny Carroll was able to seal the deal.